derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for sharing with us as we invite you to be a part of today's discussion. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, hey, my apologies. This is me, you got to see. I prefer you listen through the radio, but if you are, remember, you're just seeing the radio host on the TV, not the other way around. 949-8037, 949-8037, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Likewise, 949-6990 gets you into the play. And of course, we also have a WhatsApp. I know for some that even that is antiquated technology, but it's what we have. It's what some of the older ones more accustomed to using. And it's certainly may not be as safe or secure as we would like, but then really, in this day and age, what is? But it's a way to effectively, immediately communicate and share your thoughts. Our WhatsApp is 925-3261. And I'm very grateful for so many of you for sharing the information that you have been sharing. I thank you for your trust and confidence. I trust that I don't betray, speak out of school, otherwise cause you to get in trouble for sharing your information with me. But at the end of the day, if we don't share and share alike, how can we truly champion a democracy? Now, I'm excited, not just because, it's another day and we've got to be a part of it, but because we're here in a country where, honestly, it's probably one of the best places. Some will say is indeed the very best place. On our schedule, we have an opportunity today to talk about high-risk medication, and there's an alert out as we get a chance to speak to the chief pharmacist together with one of the internists over at the HSA. And they're out and about. The show goes on. We get started, and we'll just bring them in, have them seated. Should we take a pause and bring them in? That would be the thing to do, huh? I don't know. Maybe we'll go back and get some of that good cake that DJ Lynn was so busily baking early this morning as we celebrate his tenure with us. But let's pause and take a break. When we come back, let's tell you about an alert for high-risk medication as we speak to the chief pharmacist and Dr. March. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination. Foodies, friends, and family are flocking to Miami for a variety of vacation experiences. From theater shows and concerts, theme parks and sports, to museums, fine dining, festivals, culture, spa, and more. And with regular Miami airfares now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, now is the time to plan your unique Miami getaway. For details and to book, call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The 26th Annual General Meeting of the Justices of the Peace Association of the Cayman Islands will be held Wednesday, March 13th, 6 p.m. on the second floor of the Georgetown Yacht Club restaurant, followed by a formal dinner at 6:30 p.m. Confirm your attendance by emailing ghmary@candw.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks again for our continued partnership with our Health Services Authority, as we get a chance to not just advise you of the continuing progress that we have over there, but their commitment, dedication, and due diligence as we get a chance now to talk about an alert for high-risk medication. And in the studio joining us is, one of the internists over at the Health Services Authority, Dr. Tamika March. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, listeners.
And welcome. Thank you so much for making your maiden voyage here with us.
Thank you for the invite.
All right. And, of course, our good friend, the chief pharmacist, Mr. Colin Milford. No stranger to the radio airwaves. Mr. Colin, how are you on this Friday?
I am well, thank you, and it's nice to be here. Thank you.
I thought it was a break of the songs here. It is well with my soul. I don't know, man. I just love life. I love the fact that we are committed to sharing timely and accurate information. Usually, there are those of us who are always willing to put a spin on everything, but then there are those of us who can critique the critiquers. But this is a very serious discussion. And as we smile and give thanks, we are grateful equally that we have this. Now, before we get into the particular medications and advisory, could I ask, with great respect, one, why is it necessary for the public as a whole, an obvious answer in itself, to know that, hey, we are aware, we're going to make you aware, but have no fear, in a sense. First question. So making those alerts timely to the wider public, because on the end, you guys got it under control. We don't have to worry about it. Right, Colin?
Well, what I should say is that the drug that we're talking about is called a valporate.
Mm-hmm.
And it is sodium valporate. And, people may know it in various forms or by various names. And valproic acid, Depakote, Epilim are some of the brands that we have here in Grand Cayman. And what has happened is in the UK and, the US, but more so the UK, the Agency for Health Management, they've realized that, not just realized, they've done some testing. And what they've found is that the drug can cause problems in, or birth defects in unborn infants. And I'm not going to get into the anatomy, physiology of it. Leave that for Dr. Marsh. But basically, the drug has possible serious effects, side effects, or adverse effects on women of childbearing age and on infants. Well, the problem is with the children, with the unborn, as well as developmental problems that are manifest after birth. So an increase in this, what they've found is that there's a 30 to 40% chance of defects happening. And as a result of that, they made very serious warnings and placed them in effect last year. And this has come to our attention, and we want to act on it as well. Not just the hospital, we also want to disseminate this information so that all of the practitioners on the island would have, I'm sure in some way they've gotten this information, but we want to make sure nationally is our duty to make sure that everyone is aware of the possible adverse effects of the drug.
Now, as we speak, as we speak to the notion of the drug and the side effects and the impact of the alert, how widespread usage within our community is this drug? I mean, we're talking about to women of childbearing age.
Right.
All right.
Well, for the drug that we're talking about today, very limited use in Grand Cayman. It is one of the mostly commonly used drugs in the Caribbean. We're blessed that we have other drugs that are more potent with less side effect that other jurisdictions don't have because of cost. Mm-hmm. So for us, very few patients are on this drug that comes through the HSA. We're not too sure about the private sector, because we do have private sector patients who get their medication from private pharmacies. But I wanted to add that the drug is very efficacious in terms of aborting seizures. And seizures, very, 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 very important, that especially within the childbearing age, females, that they keep seizure-free. So we don't want to panic, because if you're on this drug for seizures, then you need to come and talk to us rather than stopping your drug by yourself and staying by yourself. Because seizures are definitely very, very dangerous. And if it is that you're within that age group and you're on that drug, just come and see us. Colin will tell you more about the advisory as to what we're doing from the patient's side. But I just want to add that prior to this, there have always been talk about seizure medications and pregnancy. Almost all seizure medication have some effect on pregnancy. Why this alert is so important is that this development abnormality is above the normal. You'd likely see maybe a 2 in every 100 that is quite acceptable, but now we're seeing 30 to 40 in every 100. Which is very, very significant.
So 2% is okay, 30,
right.
40, 50%.
Definitely not acceptable.
Just depends.
Yeah.
And this is just for emphasis to women of childbearing age. It's not a drug that we should find men taking for seizures. There would be something else.
No. So for men, definitely good. And if you're not in the childbearing age, no problems.
All right. For seizures.
And men do take the drug.
Yeah. I'm aware of that. That's why.
Nothing has come up so far as men are concerned.
All right.
But like Dr. Marr says, the statistics, the percentage is very high for the adverse effects, which makes it something that we need to act on very, very, very quickly. And we've started to do a number of things. Well, one of the things that we need to do first of all is to inform our patients about it, and via this broadcast, along with other means, we are informing our patients. We have identified all of the patients we have on the drug within this group, and we are actively contacting them individually, and to ensure that they contact their physician and get any suitable alternatives or have any other information that they may need to continue taking the drug. Because like Dr. Marr says, in some cases, if you've got a patient who is controlled on the drug, then you don't want to change things, because you may very well end up having them in a situation where you reverse their well-being, and now they're getting seizures more often, and that's another problem. We don't want to cause that. So what we're telling the patients to do is to contact their physician as soon as possible. Don't stop the drug suddenly either, because that is one of the things that we don't want to happen, because you can have other effects if you come off these drugs very, very suddenly. So the idea is to take your drug, but come in and see your doctor as soon as possible. And like I said, at the HSA, we're contacting our patients individually and giving them this information. In addition to this, we've also created some cards which we're going to give to new patients to increase the awareness of this possibility, and also to educate them as well. With regard to the steps that are being taken to help them to be able to take the drug but not have problems in case they decide to become pregnant. One of the other things that the UK agency has advocated is that persons within that demographic, within that group, seek pregnancy prevention methods, which is something I'm going to also for Dr. March to expound on. But the fact is that right now we're disseminating information and trying to ensure that we get all of our patients securely in before they do become pregnant or decide to become pregnant, because that is the possibility of the critical possibility where problems can occur, and the statistics are very high.
Now, Dr. March, I know you referenced earlier on Grand Cayman, but with respect, what about under BRAC as well? Because we look at this, our health system, HSA, we cover all 3 islands. So on Grand Cayman, but we also evaluated our patients under BRAC as well.
Right.
Okay.
And Colin already mentioned that we contacted everyone. And most times we do a great collaboration with the BRAC and ourselves, because Grand Cayman house the specialists, but we do have to consult with them via telephone. So those patients are covered as well.
Right.
Just to back up with Colin, so if you are a young female, and you are on this drug, Depakote, Epilim, sodium valproate, and you do not wish to have any more children, that's good. You stay on the drug, no problem. If you are young and you think you could be pregnant, you need to come and see your physician, because we may need to change you. So don't stop your drug, but come, we will switch you to something else. If you are young, you're not pregnant now, you're on the drug, but you wish to have a child, you need to come and speak to us, because during that period of conception, you need to be off that drug and on something else. Now, what the card will do is for the new patients that are going to be started on this drug. As I said, this drug is very efficacious. The only problem right now is if you will get pregnant in the future. So don't be scared. It doesn't cause cancer, doesn't cause any great problems with your liver, doesn't cause any other abnormalities. But if you're going to be started new, all patients must know about this and should be on a pregnancy prevention method. These range from oral contraceptive tablets to barrier methods, and your primary physician will go through with you. If it is that you do not wish to have any children, then that's good. But if you do, this is a decision that we'll have to work out with you. When you would want to start to bear a child, how do we adjust the dose? How do we adjust medication? So don't be scared. Just have a good discussion with your physician if you're on this drug. I know most persons will get scared, even if they're not within the pregnancy range. They will get scared if they're on this drug, but still come and talk with us. Information is key.
Now, with that in mind, as perhaps someone who is of childbearing age, who may down the road wish to start a family and is on the drug now, as you shared, speak to the physician, get switched over and what have you, but they're off the drug for a period of time. Any other research or any concerns that they've been on it for a prolonged time prior to conception, that there could be some consequences, or is it only during conception and the pregnancy and birth that the side effects and consequences are evident?
During the contraception period. Okay. So that's why if you plan, you need to come and talk to us. But if you are pregnant now and you're on the drug, still if we stop the drug early, especially within the first trimester, because most of the abnormalities are either physical, which means some abnormality with the limbs, or neurodevelopmental, which means they will have delay in learning, speech, etc. So most times within the first trimester, that's when you have all of those problems. So if you're pregnant now and you're on the drug, then you need to come see us. All right. ASAP.
Well, when we come back from the break, let's continue discussion. Let's certainly remind listeners, if they're just joining us, as to why we're telling you about this medication alert as we speak to our internist and our chief pharmacist. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Spend a day at Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day, the 52nd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agriculture Pavilion in Lower Valley. Coming March 6th. Raffle tickets are now on sale, and for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes, including a garden package, iPhone, and staycation. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.ky.
Don't sleep on these savings at Tomlinson Furniture with King Silly mattresses for $475 and futons for $499 till supplies last. New arrivals every week. Tomlinson Furniture, corner of Hospital and Smith Road.
Did you know that the Department of Environmental Health operates a recycling program in the Cayman Islands? Recyclables such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin and aluminum cans, cardboard, as well as glass and ceramic items are recycled on Grand Cayman by the DEH. Take these items to the recycling depots located at all Foster supermarkets, Kirk Market, and Hurley's Grand Harbor. Remember, keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix on the weekdays.
Tune in, turn it up, listen.
Sponsored by the Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA, building a better future for Cayman football. Savannah Pharmacy. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Every day. All the time.
Ultimate party show in the afternoon. Radio Cayman Super Jam.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And in the studio, good opportunity to speak both to internist Dr. Tamika March and our chief pharmacist, Mr. Colin Midford, over at the Health Services Authority, as we have a chance to talk about high-risk medication alerting, particularly sodium valproate. Right? And as we continue, perhaps with respect, let's maybe repeat back this particular drug. What is it used for primarily, and why people would be on it. In case they're just joining us, then we tell them about the drug and why the alert has been issued through the UK.
Well, it's used. It's two primary indications for the drug are epilepsy and bipolar disorder. So it doesn't really matter what you're using it for. The fact is, if you're using it, then we want you to take those steps and see your physician as soon as possible, so that they can work out how you can continue taking it or whether or not there's a need for you to change it. And I just wanted to let you know that this is a natural direct side effect or adverse effect of the drug itself. So the patients who are taking it, they're okay, and we have to reiterate that. They're fine as long as they're not pregnant or planning to become pregnant.
Soon,
yes.
So all the men out there, you can still take the drug. Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They think, well, that's not funny. But as the doctors shared, if you're on the drug, do not stop it just because you're hearing this. Go speak to your physician, and alternatives will be made to accommodate that person. And from the UK, was it the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency? I think it was what you shared, has issued that advisory. Mm-hmm. When was the advisory issued? How long ago?
Well, to be honest with you, the possibility of this effect has been known for a while. Mm-hmm. But if you follow the FDA's information and so on, you'll see. Yeah, you'll see. That's correct. Mm-hmm. You will see that they didn't. It wasn't as wide or as broad as the study that was done in the UK. The UK followed it up for some time, and in March last year, they realized that the numbers that they had first seen were much larger in that last study. And then to heighten the situation, in November last year, they again did a review of the figures as well as the information that had come to hand, and realized that there was a need for them to urgently reiterate the warnings along with information for patients and so on. And the seriousness of it actually took the percentages up to 30 and 40% that we mentioned earlier.
Right. So once I started looking at both the US and the UK sort of agencies and their respective websites and information that they were sharing, and as you relayed, but bringing that to the Cayman context, have we been able to statistically look at our patient profile to say, okay, we had any incidences in Cayman that may or may not?
Well, as far as adverse effects go, it is difficult to tie down or to pin down the cause to any specific agent or any specific problem unless you've done the kind of quality testing and follow-up that's necessary. In many cases, as far as drugs are concerned, it is possible, but at the same time, we can't really prove it unless you were actively following the situation from the outset. And that like you said, in our situation, that's really not possible at this time. Mm-hmm. But it is necessary for our patients to know that they need to take this seriously and act on it as far as attending their physicians is concerned.
Right, Dr. Mark?
Right, just to add, Colin, we tend to depend on the UK-US because they have the vast number of patients. We're limited in Cayman because we have roughly 30 patients. So if we look on the adverse effect, we cannot make any conclusions because the study case is small. So the UK-US have millions of patients. So even if we recognize one-off adverse effect, we couldn't link it to a drug because we have to come up with what is called a p-value, a significance.
On population basis, that's too small.
It's too small for the persons that are using the drug. So we tend to look out for these alerts from the big first world country like the UK, US, because they tend to be very vigilant with adverse effect.
Well, the UK in particular.
Yes.
I'm not sure I share the same confidence in the FDA, but that's just me. Oops, political comment. No, but this is why I appreciate giving us a timeline, because I think many people increasingly have availed themselves of whether it's an agency in the UK or even greater Europe, as it were, as to the vigilance and regulatory impact of drugs, medications, and other things relative to the health and safety and welfare of the populace. And when we reference population, we don't mean the geographical population, we're talking about the statistical sample. So 30 people, 300 people, even 3 million people, still relatively small to 300 million people or 30 million people. So having that sort of base to study could give us a better analysis.
Right.
But I think, Mr. Medford, from what you have shared in the past, the idea that, as we procure our medication specifically, and as we have access to the UK primarily, and then the US's research, as Dr. March shared, we have a chance to be able to look very closely at what transpires globally and the potential impact. It could be the supermarket saying, hey, there's a food item that is being recalled in some part of the States.
It happens every day, actually.
It happens more frequently.
Yes, the last one was lettuce.
We've seen it. And they're already on top of it. Their suppliers have advised them they may or may not be affected by the recall, but they let us know, yes, this thing, we have it. If you have it in your shelf and you bought it from us, bring it back. No worries about it. We'll fix it up. Medications, similar concept. Sure.
We live in a global village these days. It's necessary for us to be on top of these things because there's so many changes, so many things that can come to light because the advances in technology that we have now didn't exist when these things were developed, when they were being marketed and being sold. And to be honest with you, they work well. They work very well for the patients. But the technology that we have and the amount of sampling studies that are being done and so on, the information now is not just about the drug and what's in it and so on. It's about what it can do, what it may do, and what it is doing to affect persons either in a holistic way or an adverse way. And I think one of the things we would like to see on the island as far as these studies and so on are concerned, I don't think we'd be able to undertake massive sampling studies and so on, but I think we need to have a regulatory board along with a board that does pharmacovigilance that tends to make sure that maybe not even in this situation but in other situations our drugs are safe and secure for our patients to take, and that we've got across the island an accountable system where both public and private sectors are buying into it, and we're working in the best interest of our patients.
And as I listen to you, I think it's obvious that as we share the whole notion that even though statistically the amount of people on a particular drug relatively small, on one side of the coin you could say, oh, well, that's easy to manage because you can pick up the telephone and reach out to 30 patients or 3,000 patients easier than you can. Let me call 3 million patients. We can divide that between the two of us, and at the end of the day, I say that to share that there is the benefit of what we have given the connections. I think Dr. March, you shared earlier. In the Caribbean, maybe because of financial considerations, other drugs are available that we don't necessarily have here as widespread. So let's just give thanks. When we come back, can we continue the discussion? Please, going to ask you again to repeat it for us so that people, in case just joining in, understand why we're talking about it. Could we also talk to you about the potential long-term consequences? Are they permanent? If someone somewhere had been on a drug, results in a pregnancy and the like. For those of you who join us, we invite you to call if you wish. 949-8037 or 949-6990. When we return, more talk today. Quick heads up though, 1 o'clock, chicken elections. Sounds like what we've been through before, but maybe a little bit different. And then 1:30, let's take a walk in her shoes. That's what's coming up after. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Get your car washed with Diamond Auto Care. $20 car wash special. $30 for SUVs, interior and exterior. Call 928-7336. Diamond Auto Care will leave your car with a sparkle and shine. Only $20. Call 928-7336.
Quincy, where you is? I can't see you these days.
Darling, as our Jamaican friends say, I gone a foreign.
Well, I hope you coming back for Red Sky at night. You never miss that, and you better not start now.
No, girl. I'll make sure I'm there. When is this again?
Saturday, March 2nd, Harkwell Theatre Grounds from 4 p.m. to midnight. Same delicious Cayman cooked food, all the dance, storytelling, dramatic and musical performances, and of course, all the local artisans selling their beautiful art, crafts, jewelry, clothes, and accessories. There's even a new development, the Caymanian Village.
Okay, well, I'll meet you at the entrance at 4 o'clock.
Don't forget your $15 to get in now.
Tickets for Red Sky at Night are $15 for adults, $5 for children 12 and under, $10 for seniors 65 and over, and students ages 13 to 17. Get yours today through Event Pro or one of our many outlets across the island.
Hi, I'm Colin Lumsden, the Georgetown manager and head of the Revitalization Initiative. Our capital city is the heart of business activities in the Cayman Islands, and we would like to bring it back as a center of social activities, with street-side cafes, green spaces, improved roads, and proper walkways for interconnectivity. The new cruise and cargo port is part of the plan and will allow for operators to meet passengers dockside with less lines and overcrowding. Cargo operations will be less intrusive. There will be pedestrianized areas for people to safely walk, shop, and dine. Modernizing the cruise and cargo port is a key element in the efforts to revitalizing our capital city.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And again, thanks to the opportunity to continue our partnership with our Health Services Authority on a very regular basis, have access to the personnel there. And in the studio today, Dr. Tamika March, together with Mr. Colin Midford. And as we look at the notion that many of us, irrespective of where we work, whether we're connected to government in some way, we use the Health Services Authority, the district clinics, or is it the district health centres? I don't know if that's what is synonymous. We come to the Georgetown Hospital, the ME facility, not only just because, well, there's an emergency, but we use the GP and the specialist clinics. We use the pharmacies and the like, and it's good that it's accessible. So as a result, a particular drug might be out there that we're on, and when an alert comes out, good to know that we can get information and to know. So repetition is say, the only thing better than repetition is chocolate. So let's repeat. What drug are we talking about? Valproate?
We're talking about sodium valproate, or a group of drugs called the valproates, and that would include valproic acid, sodium valproate, and some of the commercial names: Epilim, Depakote. There's Convulex, and so on. But I'm sure that persons would recognize the drug because the valproate name is used so commonly.
Most people then who are on this drug, and from what you gathered, it isn't a whole lot within our society, would know that they're on this drug. Their families and friends would be aware, and more than likely by now, for all those who are getting their prescriptions through the HSA, would have been contacted to say, listen, please be aware and arrangements.
Right.
But just in case there's somebody else who isn't, well.
Yeah, well, we're in the process. We're still in the process of contacting patients and notifying them, and we will continue to disseminate the information and educate the patients as far as this is concerned, because seizures is something that will always be in our community, and we will always have people in this group who will need to take this or some of the seizure medicine. And like Dr. Marsh said earlier, there are other drugs available, but there's always been some apprehension or warnings or caution taken with patients who are in this group and taking medication for seizures. So, but this drug in particular has superseded, as far as the adverse effects are concerned, has superseded the known expectations, and has caused us to have to adopt these warnings for our patients as well.
And as Dr. Marsh, you shared the idea that drugs have side effects. We see in the writing sometimes if we take time to read and can understand what it says.
Right.
But this one is exceptionally much higher.
Right. So it is the birth defects or developmental delay that is caused this drug to have such a high alert. So, I mean, nowadays you open a box of tablets and the insert with the side effects is actually longer than the other side that is to tell you about the uses. Yeah. But we're very concerned about this drug as it relates to pregnancy. I want to quickly add, I know many listeners will want to know, I've been on this drugs for 15, 20 years. Is it going to do me any damage? No. But if you're going to get pregnant or you think you want to expand your family, this is not the drug for you. So you need to come and talk to your physicians, your GP, primary care, so we can switch you. But if you were taking this drug, let's say for 30 years, and then you decide next month that you want to conceive, that 30 years of taking the drug has no bearing on whether you whether you get the developmental delay. It is at the time of conception that you do not want to be on that drug.
Okay, can we just ask, just for clarity, we understand, and you can clarify with us that sometimes you take a particular drug, whatever that is, it'll stay in your system, to use my language, for a couple of days. Even if you miss one or two, will still be there to someone. Is that true? And if so, in this case, is this drug one of them that would be there, 5 minutes after your last dose, or 5 years?
Well, I mean, don't want to get too technical, but that's called the half-life.
Yeah.
And what affects all of that can be deemed pharmacokinetics or dynamics. And this happens with all drugs. In some cases, some drugs will be in your system years after you've taken it. Some drugs will never go away. Others will just come right out of your system. I can't remember exactly how long valproic acid stays, but it does stay for quite a while. But the levels that are in your system over that period of time are not significant enough to cause the problem. The problem occurs, as Dr. Marsh says, where you're still taking the drug, you get pregnant, and you're adding doses to it every day, and those doses affect the unborn child and will affect the child after birth as well.
Right. And as you had shared...
I should say can affect.
Yeah.
Right, and just to add, which is why the conversation about pregnancy needs to be going on. Because if you plan to, you have to have a discussion with your doctor so that we can switch you before you conceive.
And don't wish to alarm anyone or be irresponsible, but I'm just thinking, if someone is on a lady of childbearing age, is on this drug, has a family, and inadvertently conceives, wasn't planned by the way, on it, what should that person do in that case? What are some of the concerns? Right,
so definitely ASAP, that person need to see their physician because they would need to be switched. Now, with developmental delays, you won't know if you fall in that category until after delivery.
Okay.
So for neurodevelopment, there is no test or ultrasound that can say that this baby will develop normally in terms of doing their milestones. So this would then be one of those high-risk pregnancies that they would have to monitor to see what is happening over time.
Okay. But the main thing is, don't stop taking the medication. See your physician immediately.
Right.
And then have that. Don't.
Because again, just to add, seizures in pregnancy is life-threatening.
To everybody.
Right. To both mother and fetus.
Yeah. This is why I appreciate it. And for those of you who might recall, I just double checked with Kevin, just to make sure that I didn't, mess it up. But not long ago, you were here again in a similar capacity talking about a recall of the UK, so that we have this access, continuing sort of information sharing to our general populace through this medium, and it's helpful, to those of us who, even if it's only 5 people in our society, then in the wider community becomes at the very least aware that we're on top of things, for want of a better way to put it.
Well, the good thing about the HSA is that we have alternatives available as well, and we have persons in place who can guide and direct our patients. The patients should feel free to come in and ask us any questions in relation to this or anything else for that matter. And it's really important for us because there's a lot of information on the World Wide Web. There's the University of Google, where everybody is graduated from, even if they're 5 years old. So it makes us all prodigies. But what's really interesting is that a lot of the information out there is information. There's a lot of it, and a lot of panic can happen.
Yeah.
A lot of initial
fear
yeah. can happen as a result of that. And what we're trying to do is to not nullify the problem, but we're trying to let people know that even though there is a problem, there are available solutions and alternatives that can be alternate measures that can be that are put in place and can be helpful to them should they be taking these drugs.
So don't be fearful, be informed. Huh?
Yes.
Come over to the HSA, speak to your physician, and make sure that you get it, accurate information.
Yeah, well, we also want to say that there's a huge network of doctors and pharmacists on the island as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a private patient, you just do the same thing with your physician and with your pharmacist, and they will point them in the right direction.
Yeah. That's something that if I perhaps can share, I found here in this country, the network, you go to your pharmacy for whatever reason, maybe it's the one that you always go to, and they don't have the thing that you're looking for. They'll say, well, let me call, and then you go to that one, and you guys, it's a great network, I guess, loosely, informally, in a sense. Maybe that regulatory agency can formalize that at some point, and we press a button, everybody knows you're sounds familiar. But I really appreciate this opportunity, and as we look at our discussion, the invitation is always there directly and through your requisite communications unit to come and share. But in closing, Dr. March, anything else you may want to share or emphasize to our listeners?
Right, we just want to again mention the drug that we're talking about is sodium valproate, Epilim, or Depakote for patients who are on it for either bipolar or seizure. The take-home message, if you're in childbearing age, so men and women that are not in the childbearing age, you can safely continue your drug without any issue. But for those in the childbearing age, please see your physician to decide whether you should continue or we should switch you. It's our job as healthcare providers to make sure that you are informed and that you are comfortable with the choice. Even if you're in the childbearing age and you do not wish to conceive but you're nervous about this drug, still see your primary care provider.
Okay.
And start that conversation.
Indeed. We do have a caller online. As we go to our phones, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling. All right. Well, there was a caller online. Maybe I hit the wrong button. Did I hit the wrong button? All right. Well, the chief pharmacist and our internists at HSA are in the studio as they shared. Whether you're a private patient or otherwise, speak to your physician, speak to your pharmacist. Mr. Collin, your thoughts or your final thoughts?
Well, I just want people to take our information seriously, and we will be following up with a handout as well as the cards and stickers on medication, on this medication that we give to our existing patients and to new patients. So the information is there, but please feel free to ask us any questions, and we certainly, if there's a need, we will certainly point you to your physician for any other information as necessary.
All right, and thanks very much. And if there's a way that we can help, even via the phone or otherwise, please always know the avenues here. Keeping our people informed in a timely manner is what really came on does best. Thanks very much. Enjoy the weekend.
And you too. Be
enjoy.
safe.
It's only 2 days, but hey, enjoy it all the same. All right, going to pause and take a break. Go to our headline news. When we come back, no joke, chicken elections. You think this is, the Trump presidency? Nope. It's even better. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Canadian arrivals recorded the best January in recorded history, with an increase of 5.28% over 2018. According to the Department of Tourism, visitation from the U.S. increased by 7.94%, which it says was largely aided by increased air capacity from major flight hubs. The Northeast region in particular recorded a 16.03% increase over 2018. In international headlines, U.S. personal income fell for the first time in more than 3 years January as dividends and interest payments dropped, pointing to a moderate growth in consumer spending after it fell by the most since 2009 in December. Saudi Arabia has stripped citizenship from Hamza bin Laden, the son of slain al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. That according to an Interior Ministry statement published by the Official Gazette. The U.S. Department said Thursday it was offering a reward of up to $1 million for information leading to the identification or location in any country of Hamza, calling him a key al-Qaeda leader. And the U.S. has imposed fresh sanctions on Venezuela, targeting Venezuelan government officials tied to President Nicolas Maduro. This in its latest move to squeeze the embattled leader. The U.S. Department of Treasury cited the battle over humanitarian assistance and blamed the 6 current or former security officials, who it said controlled groups that blocked aid from reaching people in the Latin American country. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much. And I think sometimes we get things, in a way that gives us a chance to, as Mr. Ezra Miller would say, to pause. A little pensive, deliberate, sort of insightful approach to life gives us an opportunity. We may not be Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle, but hey, we can at least pretend that we read and understand. Honored to be able to welcome to the studio both Mr. David Kirkcaldy and Rich Dyer as we talk about the chicken elections. Now, some have heard about it, and it's not, this is not a joke. We can't have equal elections, but we can have, chicken elections.
Hey, listen, with an introduction that included Plato and Aristotle, the great Greek philosophers,
very appropriate.
It is a very serious subject, the elections of the chickens that run wild on the island.
Yeah, man. And think about it, I've seen the chickens, for instance, and I'm sure others have. There was one particular hen in the center of town. She would walk to the crosswalk, stop, look left, look right, look left again, and cross with her chicks. I've seen that on more than one occasion.
But did you ever stop to ask her, why did she cross the road?
My fear was that she would answer. That's why I didn't want to. I wasn't worried about what people would say. He's talking to a chicken. I was worried I would hear her answer. And then there'd be a challenge.
That could well be one of our candidates, actually. It sounds like a very organised chicken.
Yes, it was, man. And they had charm and character. They also had a bit of challenge and frustration. But nonetheless, having a chicken election gives us a chance. Serious in nature, despite, though, what we're doing. The charitable approach, the opportunity to maybe raise some questions and give people a chance, whether at their favourite watering hole or maybe after service on Sunday, to stop and talk a little bit and think a little more. We'll see, right?
Exactly, yeah, and that's one of the kind of motivations of this is behind the chicken elections poll, which is obviously a satirical elections for the first premier of the Legislative Assembly, and each chicken attached to a charity, and when you're voting for the chicken, you're voting to push funds towards one of the charities, because all the sponsorship money will be distributed based on the share of the vote. But like you said, the second part is a very serious poll of 6 key issues in the islands. And what we are aiming to do with this is to provide real polling data on these issues. So we actually provide useful information of a snapshot of opinion of the island rather than it being inferred from what you see on social media or from comment sections on news sites. Mm-hmm. This now gives us a genuine piece of information to base discussions on and to go from there.
Yeah. I mean, and I had promised myself that I, will not try to use any puns, I mean, this is going to be excellent.
It's
going to be impossible.
I was, we were having a discussion at home and looking at perhaps David, maybe I could, or you could tell us. We could actually go to a website. We can start voting now, all right? We can do it. So tell us about
it's been live coming up. Well, today is coming up on 2 weeks. Chickenelections.com, and maybe Rich, if you could just rewind just a little bit. And what's the overarching purpose of the website? Like what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, so I guess the summary would be that it's a satirical charity campaign with a real poll of Cayman attitudes towards 6 key issues. That's how we would describe it. And like I said, if you go to chickenelections.com, there's a very easy user interface. And are you logging on there, Sterling?
Yeah. I was trying to hopefully get up early, but it booted me out. But I'm on now. Because I was want to confirm there are only 6 candidates, right?
There are only 6 candidates, yeah. And each candidate is attached to one of 6 charities. Mm-hmm. And our 6 charities are Jasmine, Special Needs Foundation, Meals on Wheels, the Cancer Society, Plastic Free Cayman, and One Dog at a Time. Mm-hmm. So each of the chickens has a photograph, and they have their statement, and they also have a background about each chicken. But the main thing is they're attached to a charity, and so you're voting for the charity that want to receive the funds. And to be clear, 100% of the funds that we've raised from sponsors is all being donated to the charity. So 100% of that will go in, and all of the media costs and the other costs, massive media are covering. So that's kind of the part of that election. Have you got your candidates in front of you?
It's up now. I got it. I kind of looking at it.
You're not allowed to say which one you vote for on here, are you? That would be showing bias.
Bias? I can't vote for 6, so I have to vote for one. Well, I was.
You keep that to yourself. Yeah. You can keep that.
I was toying because there were some of the names that were sort of appealing. The way the names were of the chickens sort of brought to you. And then you look at their charities and go, well, I kind of like that charity, but I also like that charity. I also like that charity. So I can't vote for all 6. I have to pick one.
You got to pick one. That's life, You're going to have...
See,
yeah.
I lived in West Bay. I had 4 votes. Now I have 1.
What's wrong with you, man? Now, funny enough, one of the things I'll say is that there is an Easter egg, as we call it, in the names, I should say.
Yeah.
So there is there's something that is to be discovered in a small little hidden meaning within the names, and no one has yet pointed out or discovered it yet. And because we're getting through the campaign now, we haven't really been revealing it, but I'll just flag that now. There's something to be found within the names there.
Yeah.
I've got you distracted now.
No. I was trying to find the one that I saw where you picked the slogans, and I wanted to ask. And for those, www.chickenelections.com.
Chickenelections.com.
Yeah, and it's fun, man. And as I look at some of the slogans, how do we, David? The names of the chickens and the slogans,
I'll own up to a whole lot. That one was not me. It's this guy with a great face for radio next to me.
Because the play on 4 legs good, 2 wings better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, without question, Animal Farm.
Of course.
Right? And it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of fun with this, right? I mean, there's a lot of work that obviously goes into putting a campaign together like this. One of the fun things for us at Massive Media with this is it's a campaign of our own. So we're not doing it for a client. We have to respect certain parts of a brief and of their taste and follow kind of some direction. This is something where we get to just express the creativity ourselves, and it's our own rules. And so, when we were coming up with the design and the copywriting and even the photography, you see all the chickens on there, we conducted a green screen photo shoot with a chicken fancier in the Czech Republic. And travelled over there with our team from Czech, where we have our creative team, went there with the camera and had a full photo shoot with all of these various chickens. And so it's all original photography, design, web builds, all the copy. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like when you're
Well, I'm enjoying this, and I hope this is not improper to say, but companies perhaps trying to differentiate a market, try to position their product in a certain way. It's a competitive world. It's a global world. I like this. I like the uniqueness. I also like the socio-economic, political sort of undertones and the like.
Are you saying you stumbled on the Trojan horse of the whole thing to show off our math skills? Oh well, interview done.
All right, that's Radio Cayman.
No, I mean at the end of the day, a big part of it is in the context of our busy workday with really great clients that we have on the island, crafting some work that is completely our own, allows us to push our creative envelope a bit, and is still rooted in who we are and the elements that we like to incorporate into our ethos of how it fits into the culture of our company. A little bit wacky, a little bit zany. If you remember, 5 years ago, we had the Chicken Foundation, which was a chicken adoption agency. Yeah. So it's a theme that's kind of run through some of our internal marketing or our own sort of self-marketing. And we were just happy that this one came to fruition, and it's been really, really well received. And it's awesome this time around that we're giving so much money to the charities that are involved.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that we said when we could have started up, that we wanted to do something for charity every year. You know, it's just kind of something that's important. To be part of the community, you shouldn't be an island as a company. And so each year when we do it, when we can tie it to a campaign like this, it's a lot more work to kind of associate that to it. But when we get the time to do these big campaigns and then we tie it into our kind of goal to do a charitable donation every year from the company, it's a good excuse to be able to bring them all together. And then when you can spin it into having fun with this photography and do something kind of silly and like all the team gets to be creative with it, it's just a fun thing for an agency to do.
For what it's worth, though, I also looked at it, and we don't have to. I'm happy to continue that discussion privately. I certainly do so with my friends, because we look at these things, right? But the notion that, as I looked at this campaign, to our students in particular, so I shared with some. I said, you looking at advertising and graphic design, you're looking at some of these things. Here is a way that you can parlay that your skill set into an organization and make it so that you are using it in a way that's fun, that's creative, and applicable to the Cayman landscape. You don't have to go to Madison Avenue. You don't have to travel across the pond. Please do if you can to get experience, because it's going to come back and help you. But look at where you can transform what we have here, and it just shows us it's not just the run of the mill.
No, absolutely. I think actually the marketing agency market here in Cayman is very strong. There's some really great talent here in Ireland. Yeah. Obviously at Massive Media, but I believe there's also great talent elsewhere. But no, you're quite right. There is, and there is a lot that goes on in that site, right? There's the design, and there's the copywriting, and there's the strategy, and there's the web build, and then there's kind of the media side of it and the PR, and then of course the big output from all of this is the research report that we're going to be releasing.
All right. Could we ask about that if you're okay? Because that honestly was a part that fascinated me. And well, before we ask about that, what are some of the questions? I mean, I know what they are, but if you wish to share them with us.
Well, there's 6. As soon as you finish voting for the charity that you want through the chicken that you've selected, I know that sounds awkward just to even say it out loud, but
no, really,
who's gone there? You then transition through into the poll section, and there are only 6 questions, and they're all basic up-down answers: yes, no, on support or not supporting certain issues that are facing the island currently. So the 6 issues are gay marriage, iguana culling, legalization of marijuana, national health care versus private health care, single-use plastics, and private development, and what should be allowed and not allowed. And these are some key issues. And again, we're not trying to spark any particular controversy. These are issues that are in the public space right now. To be clear, there are many other issues, a great number of them. But these were ones that weren't in front of any ongoing legislative process and allow us to get through the polling and through the basic demographic data that's conducted a really interesting snapshot that I don't think, in fairness, anyone has really been able to provide for these issues on the island. So at the conclusion of this, we'll be able to provide a report to our sponsors, to the media, to the government, and to the general public. It'll be available on how opinions came through on this. And Rich is a research background. he comes from a research background. He has a master's degree in applied research. So this is something that we do for a number of our clients is focus groups and research. So this is an extension of that, where we're able to apply that to some issues that are facing the country right now.
And those are two things. One, will that report be sent out simultaneously to the government, to the public? We all one time?
We're going to do a staggered release. So we're going to send to the government and media first, and yourselves will be included in that cohort. And we're going to give 2 days for them to digest and do what they want with it, and then we're going to release it to the general public.
All right. Well, we'd like to offer you publicly first here right now. Come on, and we can go through and digest the research and the analytics and the like.
We'd love to, yeah. And I think that's going to be an exciting part, is when the results are. I'm really excited to get into the state the straight demographics do, and then what the overlap trends are, right? So if you expressed one opinion somewhere, what does it do elsewhere? What does it tie into how it's linked to the charity? And I think the discussion around this is going to be fascinating. And I would love to come in and go through it with you. I know you're really into this stuff. I listen to you every day, and I know you love your stuff like this, Sterling. So yeah, I think that would be really great.
But this is what helps to inform people. It's all right. When we come back, let's respectfully take some calls. But I think we also have a commercial break. I'm going to ask you about the timeline. How long this is going to be up? How long before we get the information and the like? Please, chicken elections. I wasn't joking. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Miami is so much more than just a shopping destination. Foodies, friends, and family are flocking to Miami for a variety of vacation experiences. From theater shows and concerts, theme parks and sports, to museums, fine dining, festivals, culture, spa, and more. And with regular Miami airfares now from just $182 CI round trip, including taxes, now is the time to plan your unique Miami getaway. For details and to book, call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The 26th Annual General Meeting of the Justices of the Peace Association of the Cayman Islands will be held Wednesday, March 13th, 6 p.m. on the second floor of the Georgetown Yacht Club restaurant, followed by a formal dinner at 6:30 p.m. Confirm your attendance by emailing ghmary@candw.ky.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you for joining us. And we're talking about the chicken elections in and of itself. Sounds like something fun and jovial, but much meat in the matter there, and it's not just deep fried. In the studio, David Kirkcaldy and Rich Dyer from Massive Media. I'm told by the good folks on the other end who make things happen that we have a call in the queue. Let's go to the phones and find out what's up. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today. Good afternoon, sir. What were you?
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good afternoon. The gentleman there, I'm not sure that I remembered who they were.
Well, can I? Let me have them tell you who they are.
It's David Kirkcaldy and Rich Dyer.
David is the one of the massive equipment and so forth.
Yes, he's Mr. Kirkcaldy's son.
Yes, Kirkcaldy.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he must be a little boy.
Watercourse Road.
Yeah.
Very well. Is this some kind of a media marketing thing, or what is this? Because I thought this thing was a joke thing. I heard chicken elections and egg something.
The premier of the Legislative Egg Assembly.
Egg Assembly. Yeah.
I mean, to answer your question just straight up, it's multi-level. So there's a charity element. So we're asking people to go online, vote for their favorite charity, the charity of their choice amongst the 6. The proceeds that we've received sponsorship from a number of organizations on the island, a number of companies. All of them are listed on our website. 100% of the sponsorship monies that companies have given us towards this endeavor are going to be donated to the charities, and it will be apportioned based on the percentage of votes that each charity receives in the voting. So it's as simple as that. So there's that charitable element. There's also a research element where after the charity, after the selection of your charity of choice, chicken of choice, there's a research element that will gather some interesting data on 6 issues that are issues facing the island and society at the present time, and without pushing a feeling or a thought or a preference one way or another for any of those 6 issues, we're polling anonymously information from the general public on their perceptions or their feelings on these, whether they're for or against, as simple as that. 6 issues, and that's the sum total of it.
The issues would concern me that